Why is it a problem for men of this generation to commit? Today's podcast, Sissy and I, we're going to talk about why and maybe some of the ways for them to get over it. So stay tuned.
Hey, Mr. Friends, welcome back or welcome to the Blissology Podcast. I am your host, your girl, the one and only CC, and I'm joined by my co-host, my handsome orangey husband today. What's happening, baby?
I'm good. And thank you for joining us today. If it's your first time tuning into our podcast, this is a weekly podcast where we bring you inspiring and relatable.
That's right.
Subject. And listen,
and relevant.
We got to make it relevant to what's happening in our lives and relevant to things that we deal with on a daily basis.
That's right.
You know, this podcast, it's about
love, life, family, relationship, and everything that's happening around the world. We're going to talk about it.
Like she says, except
right?
Politics.
Except that.
Yes.
Y'all know what's going on with that.
Yeah, so before we get into the topic of the day today, we want to share with you, like we always do, what we call our blissful moment. Now, that's either something that happened to us during the week or something that we did. So, what is your blissful moment?
What's my blissful moment? Well, last Sunday was our church anniversary, which we were at the church from like 8 in the morning until 3 p.m. We were very much involved in the community on that Sunday. Lots of food. It was our church anniversary, 37 years. 37 years being in the community. Well, not us, but the church. And so, yeah, the youth came out. Everybody was there, involved. And, of course, my husband always tell me, you see, these people miss you, baby. Then you got to come back. You got to do this. I'm like, babe, they miss you too. I was like, no, nobody talk about me.
No one ever come and tell me that, hey, we haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
They don't care about me.
I mean, it was a great feeling. And I felt like it was like back in the old days, you know, when we were like very much involved before COVID and before the children.
Even with the children, we're always involved. I remember we used to drag those kids to the church.
Yeah, that's true.
I think COVID kind of just added to it. I know after you had your surgery that you stopped going as much as we were. But COVID kind of really made her feel really comfortable not going as much.
There's a lot that was happening. And of course, you know, COVID for sure. A lot of us, COVID really like, hey, rethink about what you're doing. Rethink about where you go to church. Rethink about the things that you've been doing. So, but besides that, I think I had a great time. Although I was tired, it was pouring, it was raining like crazy. But overall, it was great.
Here's the thing, you know, church is a community.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, she didn't read one Bible verse during the time that she was there. She didn't even have her Bible with her.
I got there and I started working.
But the point that I'm making is that it's not so much that you went and sat in church, but you went to serve the people. You went to take part into something that's community based. And this is what sometimes we miss out. Church is not all about go and sit in a hall and sing and praise. Yes, there's time for that. But it's about the life. It's about the community life. It's about interacting with people. It's about doing things that makes you feel good.
Right.
That's community life.
Correct.
But yeah, it was good. Hey, listen, the rain came down because there are two services, and obviously we're serving food to celebrate the 37th year anniversary of the church. But man, on the second service, when that time come to get people their food and celebrate, wow, yes, we had some music. We had music out there, but man, the rain was coming. You know what was nice was, rain or shine, we were just doing our thing. Umbrellas. Right. Some of us were going out from under the tent to attend to the people that were like in front of the church because people couldn't come out.
Right.
Oh, we didn't need an umbrella. You know, there's one that guy. He's like, man, forget it. I'm just getting what I need to get and bring it to the people.
Yeah.
So, but it was good seeing people just doing things that they feel good about and be part of a community.
Right.
And I think that's what makes the big difference.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't think you stepped foot inside a church at all.
I didn't. I was going to when we got there at 8 o'clock. I was going to go in the church. And then, of course, the other members was like, hey, you got to come in. You know, are you staying or are you going to go in and come back after church is over? And I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking I was going to go to church. But then because they're out there, I might as well just like put my heels in the car and put my flats on and get to work. And that's what I did. I was just like packing the hot chocolates in the cup, make sure like the breads and, you know, breakfast kind of stuff, like, you know, the oatmeal, everything was put in the cup and the other members were there. Yeah. And y'all, like with the second service, like the rain really beat me up. I had to like get my pants and really like, you know, pull it all the way up because where I was standing, the water was coming so strong. And I think, you know, when you're doing the Lord's work, you don't really see that, you know, rain or shine. You're going to make it happen. And I'll say this, shout out to Dave for really like.
I think he started this whole thing.
He did. He started the whole thing. And it was so interesting. As soon as the church was over, the rain was like coming down so heavily. And everybody was just like, oh my God, what are we going to do with the food? And he just grab and go. But I think overall it was really good. It was really good.
It's good. We want to do the same thing next Sunday.
It was really, I don't mind.
Yeah.
It was a great turnout. Although there was a lot of people, I thought the food was going to be enough. Unfortunately, too many people. It was a lot of people. And we had to like improvise with the food and stuff. So yes. So yeah.
It was a good celebration. I did get to be part of the service. Yeah,
twice.
But I did come out and
you were actually part of the service twice.
I came out and did what I had to do.
The 7:30
I had
and
other
the 10:30.
Responsibilities, right? I had other
Taking care of the
responsibilities. Keeping an eye on the kids, capturing part of the service, make sure I take pictures so I can share on the church social media page. Yes, I had other responsibilities. I had my excuses. Yes. But anyway, it was good. Overall, it was a good turnout, and we celebrated, and hopefully, you can continue to go more regularly and take part in more stuff, and be your old self. No comments. No. Anyway, so let's get into the topic of the day today, which is why are men having issues committing?
Listen.
Hey, listen. This topic has been buzzing around. Not just our circle, I think every circle lately. You know, some men from the Gen Z generations and some of us millennials. Yeah, some of our generation. Listen.
They struggle.
We're struggling with commitments.
Yeah.
Well, not me. I committed 14 years ago. Actually, more than that, 18 years ago. So, yeah. But a lot of us are struggling with making a commitment. And it's a complex issue.
For sure.
For sure, yeah. From changing social norms to personal experiences that many of us have had, or maybe things we've witnessed.
Right.
So there's a lot to unpack here.
That's right. That's right. They just got problems. I'll tell you that. There's so many options, okay? There's so many options. That's what I felt like.
Listen. Commitment seems to have taken a different meaning these days.
I truly feel the same way.
It seems like our generation and the younger generation's approach, which we're not old. I think we're still young. But our generation and that younger, the Gen Z's generations, or even younger millennials, their approach to relationship is different.
Very much so.
You know, and you know, the traditional ways we get with someone, we feel that this person is the right person, we propose and we're committed to live together, and we live happily ever after until we die.
Happily ever after. Yeah.
But yes, a lot of things has changed the way we look at relationship.
I agree. I agree. And I think so. Let me ask you this question. What do you think commitment has become such a complex issue for our generation and the Gen Zs in your own...
In my own little mind or big mind, whatever you call it. So here's what I think. Now, this is just my own opinions. I think there are several factors that are impacting the way we feel about making commitments. One big is our culture has changed. You know, we are very into our own self. We think of ourselves. We think of the freedom that we have. We think of the things that if we were to commit, what we're going to give up. So yes, we think of ourselves. And for you to commit to someone else, you have to look beyond yourself.
Right.
Because the moment that you committed to someone, it's no longer become I. It's we. And you had to learn to compromise. So you're going to be giving up that freedom. But a lot of us are really attached to our freedom. Many young people these days, they prioritize their own personal growth in their own personal goals as well over the traditional ways that we would deal with relationship.
Right.
So that's a big change. We think of ourselves. In ourselves. We're becoming very selfish. Let's just say that.
That's the word you just took out of my mouth. I was just about to say that. It is so true. We're becoming very selfish, or that generation and the younger generation, which is the Gen Zs, are becoming very selfish. It's all about them. And obviously we can see it from the workplace, the business.
Oh, yes. You know, it's what do I get from this? What's in it for me? Yes. It's all about
what's in it for me. I feel like our parents' generation was more like, okay, when should I start? And
people would, especially in the workplace environment, before that person even start doing anything, they want to know what they get, where do they go, all of that stuff. That's all about me, not how I'm going to, me joining your team. This is what I'm bringing in. This is how I'm going to make a difference in the team. No, It's never about this. It's typically, what do I get here? What do I get?
Yes. And I do realize that they actually do this all over the world, like everywhere, which I think Simon, I don't remember his last name, but he's really big on, when he talk about the Genies and the Millennials, he's really big on that.
Oh, Simon Sinek.
There we go. He's really big on the Genies, especially. I feel like he's really hard on them, because he feels like the Gen Zs, I'm not a Gen Z, I'm a millennial. He feels like the Gen Zs are very much like, what's in it for me? Everything's about me. Like we become babies where we got to take care of me first, versus, when we millennials, when we get a job offer, we're excited. We look forward to start working. But for them, it's like, well, I like to have this. Basically, for us millennials, we'll take it.
Listen, this is not me saying that
things.
Don't go after what you want. I think everybody should go after what they want, but you always have to look this, especially when it comes to relationship. What am I bringing in, and how much am I willing to work at it to make it work? And I think this is where the trouble is that if it doesn't work the way I want it to work, then it's not for me. And the whole idea of settling down scares people.
Yes.
Settling down with one person for the rest of your life. And a lot of us, there's certain things we want to pursue, looking at the careers that we want to pursue, the ambitions we have, the travel opportunities, all of these things that we may be giving up if we settle down.
Right.
And that scares people.
Yes. And let's not forget the impact of technology.
Oh, yes. Technology is changing things, especially in the amount of choices that are available to people.
Oh, my God. Yes.
Nowadays,
it's a lot easier
to meet new people.
Yes. And also to bring some of, choices, having a sense of choices where if I don't like you on this dating app, I can go to...
He can swipe away
I can swipe to the next one, And that's the impact of social media.
The social media, on the other hand, gives you an unrealistic expectations of what you should get from relationship, because believe me, a lot of the things we see on social media, they are make believe, and I just can't say this enough. Not everything we see on social media is
real.
No.
Yeah.
And sometimes it changes. It changes the things, or the what we expect from relationship.
Right.
And if we're expecting unrealistic things from a relationship, there's no way we'll ever commit to it.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. And when you think about TikTok, there's this unfortunately, there's this lady that I follow. I mean, she really trying to get people to get them together.
Oh, that
Remember
matchmaking lady.
Correct. That
Okay.
matchmaking lady. And unfortunately, there's being a lot where it goes on dates and things don't work out, and it's just a mess. It's just a mess. And I truly feel like people don't give other people enough time to really like get to know them and get to understand who they are, where they're coming from. And therefore, it becomes like a microwave dating world.
Okay, I hit 3 minutes, and by 3 minutes we should be done and good to go.
Exactly.
Okay. Who else have I heard use that term microwave? I've heard it from somewhere
I think
else.
probably me.
Could be. Microwave dating.
Microwave success too.
Yeah. Well, yes.
And I feel that's how the world is becoming, where everyone wants like, I want it now, I want it tomorrow. And therefore, I see you get married on social media. I think everything is great, but not knowing that, hey, we having our own challenges. And I think a lot of people don't really see it the much of the challenge. They more like see the perfect picture.
Yeah. Like if you take Sissy and I, we're not always smiling or laughing or giggling. We're not. This woman's got problems.
I do. I mean, I do. So does he. And I feel like
I had an episode last Sunday. I let someone use an umbrella and someone got pissed. I just let that person use the umbrella.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm
just saying. So we're not always smiling or giggling, not knowing who she is. Hey, listen, I'm like, that's you. And I'm good. So I know not to let someone use an umbrella.
Listen, for those of you who knows my husband, he is the Mr. Nice Guy. So therefore, as we always say to my husband, that Mr. Nice Guy can be easily taken advantage of, or it can be looked at a different way. A lot of you ladies know what I'm talking about. When your husband or your boyfriend is like very friendly, very nice to, other women, you, on the other hand, is thinking that, okay, you're being too friendly, sir. Okay. But to them, they're not looking at it that way. They think that, oh, I'm just being nice. It's just me helping out of, some church member or someone. But I always tell this, and I know I'm not the only one feeling this way. I protect what I have. Permanent period. God is a jealous God. He's very jealous. Mm-hmm. So therefore, I'm a jealous woman.
See, I cannot win that argument.
There's nothing for you to argue about.
Here's the thing.
There's nothing for you to argue about.
It's not all smiles and giggles. We have our moments.
He really had me on that Sunday.
Sometimes the moment is, I just do an act of kindness to help someone in need. See? And I get roasted for it.
See how he's laughing? Like I said before, our God is a God. He's jealous when we worship other people, when we actually, being too kind to other things. Therefore,
anyway, I get her, and now I know not to let someone borrow my umbrella. In fact,
it has nothing to do with
if someone sees me with an umbrella and says, "Hey, listen, it's raining. Can I borrow your umbrella?" I'm gonna say, "Mm-mm."
I'm just saying,
no way.
Our God is a jealous God, so therefore we have to be jealous of our own. Okay, we have to. And of course, we have to protect what we have. And I'm sure he would have felt the same way if there was a man or somebody else talking to me about certain things.
Borrowing an umbrella?
Or whatever it is, he would have felt the same way. I'm different. I would tell you that,
there's no winning for me. That's why I'm not looking to win.
See, here's the thing about me. My husband will not show that he's jealous like a front, but then I know him so well that I know that he is a jealous man. On the other side, I'm gonna show you and we're gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna let you know that, you know, I didn't like what just happened. You won't talk about it. You just like brush it off. I will talk about it. That way you know.
You see what I mean when I said it's not all smiles and giggles? We have real discussions on
I actually have what was really like, it's the church anniversary, but we're going to talk about it later tonight when I get home. And we sure did. We did.
Oh, yeah.
And he had me. You had me that Sunday.
I had to try to make my case, and then I realized that I just had to say, I will do better next time, and just...
Whatever, babe.
Hey, listen, here you look at it. That's me saying that our relationship, we have to compromise, right? Yes, I'm nice to people, but sometimes I have less. That's why I don't hug people anymore.
Anyways, baby, you do you, and I'm gonna do me. And you do me something wrong, I'm gonna let you know up front, and then that's that.
No winning for me. But you know what? Despite of things that I may do that she doesn't like, we always find ways to make things work. And this is where some people are afraid of having this discussion with whomever they may have committed to. So it's something that you have to be willing to deal with it. Yes, right. I don't take major offense if Cece says I did something that I shouldn't have done. Let's not look at it this way. If she feels threatened by someone and she felt this person is being too close to me, she has every rights to be.
I don't feel threatened by anyone.
She can't feel threatened by other people.
But what?
She doesn't feel threatened by anybody. But if she sees me getting close to someone, not my intentions is just go about doing my thing.
You're just so nice.
Right. But it requires understanding.
You miss the nice guy.
Yeah, I do nice stuff. Why not? That's probably why I'm still alive, because I do nice stuff. But aside from me doing nice stuff, in a relationship, you would run into things, and some people are afraid of committing because when they run into things like this, tempers get high, and people say things that they shouldn't have said.
Yes.
And before you know it, it's chaos. So some people are afraid of committing because they just don't want to have these heated and uncomfortable conversations or being called out on something. Yes, I get called out because I was being nice, and sometimes I'm nice.
Too nice.
I try not to repeat the same niceness. Like now I know that never to let someone borrow my umbrella.
Baby, that's not the whole... Okay. The umbrella has nothing to do with it. You know what has... The umbrella has nothing to do with it, baby.
Anyway, listen. Don't be too nice. I get it. Now, opening up to whomever that you're with is also something that people are afraid of, being put in a position to be vulnerable. And if you're in a relationship, you have to be able to open up to whomever that you're with.
Right.
You have to be able to share your deepest feeling, your worries, your anxiety, things that troubles you. You have to be able to do that, because that's how this person will learn about you and how to best be with you. But if you cannot open up to the person that you're with long term, that is not just you do this one day and then 2 years later that's when you're opening up again. No, I'm talking about constantly being on the same page with this person. So allow yourself to be in a risky spot,
right?
And that's scary to people.
Yes. Yes.
So we've seen many relationship fails because sometimes people are so closed in that the other person have no idea how to deal with you.
Right.
And how do you expect to be with someone if you cannot open up to that person?
True. That's true. That's why I'm one of those people where I'm going to talk about it and we're going to move on. And I like to do when him and I talk, let's conclude on this before we just move to the next thing. It's important to me, and I think it's important for you to let your partner know that, hey, I can't move to the next thing unless we have a final talk.
Yeah. I'm talking about 2 hours later in the conversation.
Whatever. I feel like based on what you just said, there's also fear of missing out, where committing to one person might feel like closing the door or
to the rest of the world
or other potential opportunities, right?
What I say to this is, yes, there would most likely could be someone else who's prettier than this person that you're with, maybe even smarter than this person that you're with. But if you're good with this person, be good with this person. And listen, there's a man out there who looks better than I do, and I know it, and I'm good with it. And I'm sure Cece knows it as well, but she still chose to be with me. I'm sure there's someone that I may be smarter than I am. Listen, that's the world we're living. There's always someone somewhere in this world that may be different than you are.
Yeah.
But just because there is, that doesn't mean you should hold out because you want to make sure you get that perfect person.
But at the same time, there's people who actually has that commitment issues.
Well, yes.
There's people who can't be committed with
if I do this, maybe there could be someone else who have that.
They always,
so I can't commit to this because this other person is out there
Correct.
somewhere.
And I think, a lot of times it's just that they don't believe in themselves, a lack of trust, a lot of doubt, whether if I am doing the right thing, if it's the right choice, if she's the right person. And I think this is why so many apps and so many things out there that allows people to just jump from one into another. It's like you're jumping, see a monkey jump from one banana to another banana to another banana. You don't like when I do that. I get it. It's okay. I just like to do my own thing. But I feel like there's a lot of them, and it's not just men. It's both genders now. Women and men are just like playing the games, and they don't want to commit to anyone.
Well, that's what happened when you have so many choices.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick.
Yeah.
Believe me, if we live in a world where you only had choices, A or B, you either pick one.
That's right.
And you're good to go. But when you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, then you're like, which one do I pick?
Back in the days, our parents didn't have that option. Although my grandma had that option, because it's funny that
grandma was going around having babies.
Okay, rest in peace, grandma. But leave the lady alone, okay? Although, back in the days was different. Our parents, my mom.
You can't compare today with then. And obviously, it's a different time.
It is a different time, but at the same time, baby, the commitment was a lot more stronger.
I don't think your grandmother committed to anyone.
Okay, when I doing that, yes, she did.
How many baby daddies she had?
Just 3.
I rest.
But here's the thing, though. My mom had been with my dad since she was 17.
Well, yeah,
the commitment back then for the boomers were a lot stronger than for the Gen Zs, especially. The early millennials, yes, if you're talking about the millennials in the 80s, the 90s are having the hardest time ever because of commitment issue, because of they don't want to just be tied down with one person. Unfortunately, that's what is happening out there. And the Gen Zs, they just want to live by themselves and having a good time, make so much money, and just be living free, have no stress.
And listen, fear of being vulnerable, but also fear of being disappointing play a big part in this.
Right, sure.
Because, what you find is that us and the Gen Zs, we have access to a lot more data. And I'll tell you, they can see divorces happening. They have access to all that data to see at what rate relationships are failing.
Yes.
And now you can witness craziness happening right on social media when someone is bashing whomever they were with because they did some craziness. I know about a year ago, this guy caught his girl cheating with someone and followed her to a store and made a whole video talking how bad she was, calling her like crazy. So when you see things like this, it makes it difficult for you to say, hey, listen, I'm going to commit to you for the rest of my life. Yeah. But then again, we should never live our lives based on other people's experience, because things like this tend to happen in other people's relationship because they had problems.
Right.
And if you plan on building a relationship where you can minimize the problem, or if problems come, you find ways to work them, your commitment to be able to work through those things, both you and your partner, that is, can help you get through them. So yes, we're seeing divorces, we're seeing relationship breaking up here and there. Sometimes we're seeing it in our own family.
Yeah.
Because, there's a lot of divorcees out there. And when you see this, like, if you were in a family where your parents were separated, you'll feel differently about relationship.
Right.
It's almost certain that you would.
Right.
I probably would as well. So the environment, in many cases, conditioned us to think, what am I doing? Should I even do this? Or what's the likelihood of this failing?
Right.
And if it says, right now, I don't know what the divorce rate is because I don't research it, but I'm sure just a quick click on Google, I can get the numbers.
For sure.
And if it's at like 40% of marriages fails, why go and invest in it? And believe me, when these things fails, divorces are expensive.
Well, yes.
And nerve-wracking and crazy. So yes, fear of disappointment.
Fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out. So a number of different fears. So, talking about fear, fear of being vulnerable is also another problem. And I know I briefly touched on that, but vulnerability is seen as a weakness in our culture.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Big time.
When someone allowed themselves to be
Big
vulnerable, we see that, okay, this person's weak, they're not strong. But, in reality, it's the foundation of meaningful connection.
Right.
If I allow myself to be vulnerable to you, now, granted, you understand how to handle it, because there are women, if the man just pour their heart out, they look at you as, really? I expected you to be stronger than this. But if you understand and you did support your man, your connection will get a lot stronger. So we need to learn to embrace vulnerability and communicate openly with our partners, because that will help build trust and it'll help build a healthy relationship.
A strong relationship too.
Yeah. Like, Sissy knows all my weaknesses.
I do.
One of which is being nice to people.
And I'm...
The other one is comfort. Like, she knows those things, and together we're working on them. Like, she keeps reminding me I have to be mean to people, and I'm trying my best.
I don't want you to be mean to people. I never say that. We're not that mean family. We're not that mean couple. I'm just saying sometimes you can be too nice. That's all.
Yes. And listen,
comfort is actually hurting you.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah. And she reminds me of that every day. But in addition to a lot of other things we've talked about, navigating this whole expectations of relationship is also one thing that really keep people away from committing. Because, your parents have some expectations of what you should do.
The pressure is on.
Your community has some expectations of what you should do.
Especially if you've been in the community for a long time. They expect a lot from you.
Yeah. So expectations sometimes keep people away from committing. What if I commit and I can't deliver on that expectation?
Correct. And I think that's the problem nowadays with the generations, the millennials and the Gen Zs.
And that's that. But a lot of these expectations, it's kind of like they expect you to know these things.
Right.
They expect you to have your career figured out, have your life figured out, have your relationship figured out, have your financing figured out. So when you expect to have all these things in place, when none of these things come with manuals, many of us have to figure them out. So
yeah,
when you're expected to have all this together,
right,
and in reality, you don't feel like you even have any of them together.
Yeah, because sometimes
you
like
commit.
Exactly, because sometimes I feel like what works for you may not work for my relationship.
Yeah.
Because we're not the same kind. We're not the same people. What works for you, whether if it's your parents or whomever, a friend, it just may not work for what we have. And we have to be able to say, you know what? It's just not going to work.
Yes. I've heard this expression that says, when I was your age, I was this and this. You were living a different time.
You were living a different life.
So the expectations of the people around us, and sometimes those translate into our own expectations. Because I find out, I realize that when people around you kind of expect certain things of you, if you don't watch yourself, you're going to start expecting the same thing of you.
Correct.
Especially when it comes to having all these things figured out. Listen, none of us men got married when we really felt like we were ready to get married. We just kind of like, you know what? It feels right. I may not have this figured out yet, but together we're going to make it happen. Right? Listen, I was living by myself for the longest time at my parents'. I had no idea how to cohabit with a woman until I started cohabiting with this woman after we got married.
This woman.
I had to figure it out. Till this day, there are certain things that I think is just normal to do.
But it's not.
And we're talking about 14 years down the road. Sometimes I let stuff out that shouldn't have been out in public.
It's not normal.
And I'm reminded that it's not. So we figure things out as we go.
Yeah.
And some people, based on the expectations that their community or their parents may have of them, prevents them from committing to doing anything because they don't feel like they can deliver on that expectation.
Yeah, that's so true. As you were talking, I'm thinking about some of the Genies at the church, they may feel like I'm sure there's a lot of pressure on them. I'm sure like they feel like, man, there's pressure, but then they don't feel like they're ready. They don't think that it's time for them to make that move. And at the same time, you really have to trust yourself. You have to, for anyone who's listening right now, dealing with these challenges, I want to say, trust yourself. Look for relationships that make you feel happy and supported. Okay. Supporting what you want to do. And I also want you to know that, remember, every generation, I think you mentioned that earlier, is different.
Yes.
Every generation has its own relationship challenges. My parents has theirs. My parents before their parents had their challenges. We have our own challenges. And people have to understand that it is what it is, And I want you to know that you got to trust yourself and look for what makes you happy. What makes you feel happy, not because of what society wants you to do, but what makes you feel happy. If you feel like you're ready, then be ready. But don't just hold on to, I'm going to have the fear of missing out if I commit to this one girl. What if Ashley was the girl for me? Or maybe like Suzanne. You know what I'm saying? It's like, just follow your heart and then you will feel like, man, Suzanne is the right girl. I'm going to go with her. Not keep flip-flopping between both of them.
I should have gone with Stephanie.
Okay.
I know.
Well, good luck with that. It's too late.
And listen, you shared a lot of great points, which I think looking for your happiness is important. And I'm hoping that this episode has sparked some thought and reflection on the topic of commitment.
Yeah.
Remember, every generation, like Cece said earlier, face their own unique challenges.
Correct.
But by understanding ourselves and each other, and I'm talking about really understanding each other, we can create a more fulfilling connection in a better running relationship.
That's true. And before we close, honey, what would you say to any young men in our community, like whether if it's millennials or Gen Zs, what would you say to them about when it comes to commitment?
It's
Your
not
last
as
word.
Commitment is not as
scary
as it may seem. It's, as you mentioned earlier, think of what makes you happy. Not so much what will make your friends happy, what will make your parents happy, what will make your priest happy. Think of what will make you happy. And if there's someone you're interested in, become their friends.
Get to know them.
And in the midst of it, you can kind of gauge, you know what? Do I see myself with this person long term?
Right.
And if you do, and being in that person's company makes you feel happy, that's all you need. Now, I'm not saying wake up and get married tomorrow. There's some planning that goes into this. But if you're going to commit to be with this person, then be. And don't put so much on physical things. Physical is what it is today. It could change tomorrow in a heartbeat. So think of what it is about this person that resonate with your personality, with what you're expecting in someone. If the people around you don't like this person, they're not the one being with that person. So stop worrying about what other people would think. And once you've committed, all it says is that, hey, listen, I'm yours, you're mine.
Yeah.
Together, we're going to go through this.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. And as long as the other person is on board, you'll figure it out.
That's so true.
Believe me, there'll be tough days. There'll be tough nights. There'll be long days. There'll be long nights. People's going to say things. You're going to hear things. But as long as you're together with the person that you're with, people can start talking now until the end of the year. You just have to don't pay them no mind and only pay mind to whomever that you are with.
That's right.
That's it. So if you're out there and you may be a young man, a young woman, and you're looking to potentially get serious with someone, become their friend.
Yeah.
Show an interest in them, meaning not learn about what's important to them. Interrogate them. No, don't do that. But, engage in conversation, but not so much about telling you about what you do and how great you are and the things you've done. Find out what they've done.
Yeah.
What's important, how they spend their time. And what's troubling them if maybe they seem to be having a bad day. And listen. Especially for the young men, learn to listen. Sometimes women don't need you to fix their problems. They just need you to listen.
That's right. See?
And stop bragging about things you have. You may have a nice car. They'll see it. You don't have to brag about it. You may have some money. They'll eventually see it when you treat them up. But you don't have to tell them what you have. Take an interest in who they are. What's important to them. I had to learn that. But women loves it when people are interested in the things they do. And they like to talk about themselves. Just ask the question and sit and listen.
That's all.
So that's my advice to anyone who's looking to commit.
Great, baby. This was good.
Yes. So, hey, listen, if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe. Leave us a review and share it with your friends, especially if you know anyone who's having commitment problems. Share this with them. I think they may be able to figure out why they're not committing and maybe get past it. And don't forget to join us next Saturday for another episode. Again, I don't know what the topic will be, but I'm sure Sissy will come up with something very insightful.
And if you know anyone that's been dating someone for a long time and is afraid of making that commitment to settle down, share this video with them as well.
Like she said, share it with someone who's got commitment problems. And listen, and don't forget to join us next Saturday for another insightful episode, probably more insightful than this one.
Yes.
Until next time, stay happy and keep building those great relationships. And if you're having commitment problems, maybe you should just go and commit. So we'll see you. Peace.